All right, rock and roll. Welcome one, welcome all to the Scorched Earth Political Podcast. I am your host, John. I hope you had a great weekend. If you could hit that like and subscribe button, it means a lot. Feel free to drop a comment like we've talked about. If you have anything you want us to talk about on the podcast, drop it in the comment section. We'll see what we can do about it. We aim to please here. We are one community. We are one Scorched Earth. We are one love. Like I've said before, it sounds like a Bob Marley song, but we genuinely mean it here. We are a community, and I'm telling you, 1 year from now, we have those congressional elections, and believe me, the blue wave is coming, and we are going to be unified, we are going to be fortified, and we are going to be victorious. Let's get to it. Let's burn it all to the effing ground. And I live in California. I'm proud to be a California. I think California is literally the most amazing state. I am so in awe of our political structure. You know, we try a lot of things. We are a liberal state. Isn't it funny, though, that the liberal states are the most economically prosperous? Florida is teetering on the verge of bankruptcy under, Ron DeSantis. Greg Abbott can't even fix his energy grid, excuse me. And you got New York, Maryland, Boston, or Massachusetts, California, just chugging along, just economically viable. We came out of COVID fine. We did everything cool. And, it is funny. We're not going to get too far out of this, but they always say, oh, look at all the homeless. Well, you know why? Because we actually try and deal with the issue. The Republicans plan, and I have had Republican friends, and they're like, oh, California's, these liberal states have all the homeless. You know why? Because we're trying to come up with a solution. The Republicans' answer for the last 50 years is don't be homeless. It's kind of like their national health care plan of don't get sick, right? So we have seen hundreds of instances where Florida, Texas, Alaska puts homeless people on planes, on buses, on trucks, on whatever apparatus, and ships them to Martha's Vineyard, to Los Angeles, to San Francisco, because they think that's cute. They don't care about Americans. These are Americans. Yeah, they're down on their luck. They've been kicked in the teeth. They keep getting kicked in the teeth, but they have value. They are still human beings in this ecosystem. And the Republicans will never acknowledge it because to them, unless you are transactionally viable, if you can put money in their pocket, then you're okay. Until that, no. If you can be a taxpayer they can rip off, that's fine. If you're somebody on SNAP, they want to kick you off. They want to kick you off Medicaid. They want to destroy your life because they want us all to go off and die so that they can profit forever. But aside from that, starting out strong for a Monday, right? We have Prop 50 coming up tomorrow. That's Tuesday, November 4th. We have elections all across the nation. We have them in New Jersey, we have them in Virginia, we have them in California, and I adamantly tell you, please go out and vote. I don't tell you have to vote the way this podcast looks at it, but go out and vote. Express your right to be heard by the politicians because honestly, it doesn't matter if it's Democrat, it doesn't matter if it's Republican. We have no power if we do not vote. That's just the bottom line there. So we have Prop 50, and basically that is redistricting. And we saw this a couple months ago in Texas. Typically, redistricting happens once every 10 years when the census is completed. And then the data is given to the states, and they supposedly try and make equal districts, equitable districts. And what happens a lot of time, and this happens in blue states, I'll use Illinois as an example. They gerrymander it so that a district can be 60-40 one way or the other, Republican, Democrat, so that representative, that House of Representative member can basically be untouchable. You cannot get them out. They are entrenched literally for the life of it. So now what you do with gerrymandering, and this is what Texas did to pick up 5 Democratic seats, was instead of going 60-40, they're going to go 54-46 or 52-48. And in the hopes of squeezing those districts down a little more and then putting those voters that they took from 60 to 54 and put them in other districts so that they can sway the balance in those districts. Now, we're going to see how that works out in Texas, but now California, because Texas very likely will pick up 4 to 5 seats that were Democrat, were lawfully appropriated. California is going to redraw their state. But the difference between California and Texas, and this truly is the difference between a Democratic state and a Republican state, is we put it to a vote. We put it to a vote of the people. Let's go see what's going on there. So, Gavin Newsom put it on the ballot that we're going to have this vote. We're going to find out. And if it does pass by the voters of the great state of California, then theoretically, California can pick up 5 Republican seats and put them in the Democrat column. Now, the reason I bring this up, and I am pro yes on 50, is look at this. Look at this little thing I got in the mail the other day. And it says, now, political campaigns literally run on fear-mongering and paranoia. We saw that with Donald Trump in 2024, right? You know, the migrants are eating the dogs and cats, the Mexicans are rapists, you know, the whole, racist, misogyny, homophobe, the whole thing, trans athletes, the whole thing. But look at this ad and try and help me out with this. I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to scare us into. It said, your neighbors are watching. How you vote is secret. Whether or not you do isn't. And I'm trying to really understand, the lady's peering through the window, looking at her neighbor, seeing if they're going to put a ballot, I guess, in the mailbox. I don't understand. I mean, to me, this is a perfect offshoot of the 2020 rigging election lies that, they're kind of scandalous out here. You better try and get that vote out because they're going to try and rig it. I mean, if you have a different interpretation of this, please drop it in the comments. But to me, this is straight out of the playbook. And I will tell you something. When 2 months ago, we out here in California, they were running a lot on no on 50 ads, financed by Charlie Munger, who is the son of the partner of Warren Buffett, one of the great philanthropists and economic minds in our history. And he was going, Arnold Schwarzenegger was on there. We got to keep the elections fair. Well, look, in my heart, I want to keep elections. I don't like gerrymandering. I want to keep them as fair as possible. But when all the Republican states are rigging the elections, Ohio, Texas, Indiana, in terms of gerrymandering, you have to fight back. Because if you don't have political power, which we've seen for the first 10 months of this current administration, if you have no political power, literally, you're on the sidelines. They're putting the middle finger up and waving to you as they go down the street. And that's why I'm an adamant supporter of Prop 50. I hope if you're in California, you come out to vote. If you are in New Jersey or Virginia, you vote Democrat, you vote your conscience. Love you either way, whatever it is. All right, let's get to Monday. SNAP has been shut down. Saturday, benefits ran out. 42 million Americans who are on SNAP food subsidies no longer will have their accounts loaded, will no longer be able to access food. Donald Trump had a grandiose party on Friday night called the Great Gatsby Halloween party with his billionaire buddies, chuckling it up, eating the best food, drinking the best wine. And by most reports, the party cost approximately $3 million. It really, really is a contrast. It's kind of like the wrecking ball in the White House. That is the perfect metaphor for who Trump is. That grandiose Gatsby party was a middle finger, literally, to everybody who they're getting shut down. And honestly, how do you vote for these guys and girls? I mean, they're getting so bad. Try and get your head around this. Marjorie Taylor Greene is peeling off. She's calling them out for how they weren't trying to destroy healthcare, how they don't have a plan. All they want to do is destroy. The latest poll shows that 70% of Americans support the Democrats' fight to keep the Obamacare, ACA subsidies going so that our premiums don't skyrocket. It's a noble thing, and I applaud them for what they're doing. Also, the Washington Post and ABC had a poll where 45% of Americans blame the Republicans for this shutdown. Now 33% blame the Democrats. So let's this is scorched earth. We're going to call it like it is, but 33%, that's about the MAGA base. They're going to blame them no matter what. To me, this is an incredibly unpopular shutdown. And as we're seeing, air power, if you have to fly this week, good luck. I saw reports of literally 200 delays across the country on Sunday because the air traffic controllers have went 5 weeks without a check. Donald Trump's getting his check. Mike Johnson in Congress is getting their check. They haven't been in Congress for 5 weeks. Since July 4th, they've worked 20 days. Their check comes every Monday. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention to this matter, Mike Johnson. Anything to keep the Epstein files closed. Shut up. The Senate's still meeting. The House isn't. All right. This weekend, Donald Trump made an announcement, and it is just amazing how much his insanity sucks the life out of the ecosystem. And he announced that he had ordered the Pentagon to start drawing up plans for military action in the country of Nigeria. I was happy to hear that because now I think we put this War Department thing to rest. Literally that insanity, or maybe this was just a click in the dementia role that he is doing each and every day. But Donald Trump, as he claimed when he met the leader of South Africa a couple months ago in the Oval Office, that white Christians were being targeted by terrorists in Nigeria and in South Africa. But let's stay focused on Nigeria for right now. This is a country that in 2018, he called an SHIT whole country. And now he is worried about the white Christians being killed. Most independent observers say that white Christians are being attacked by these terrorist cells, but most of them agree or have confirmed that the majority of people being killed are Black Muslims. All right, let's take that to the side here, okay? They're attacking white Christians. I personally, I'm not down with them killing anybody, okay? But for a president who has claimed on his platform that he is anti-war, man, this guy is itching. He's got an itchy trigger finger. He's ready for military strikes anywhere. So now he is talking about, we're going to go into Nigeria because white Christians are being targeted. Okay, fair enough. That's what you want to do. I guess you have this power. Nobody wants to take away your War Powers Act or any of that nonsense. The Congress isn't going to step up and do their job. But let's talk about another little country. Let's talk about a country. This is going to be Final Jeopardy, Alex. Let's talk about the country that 81% of the people are Catholic, 11% more are Protestant. So you're somewhere about 91, 92% are Christian, align, identify as Christian, and they're being attacked. Now, what country could this be? Yes, you got that right, Alex, for double jeopardy. That would be Venezuela. This is a country that Donald Trump is attacking their boats, is military striking their people, and has authorized the CIA to go in and attack infrastructure in Venezuela. So I guess the question we all ponder here is, what is the difference between terrorists going after Christians in Nigeria, but a president in America going after Christians in Venezuela? Well, we all know the answer to that. It's the color of the skin doing the strikes. The terrorist cells over there in Nigeria are more likely black. Donald Trump is white. That's okay. Once again, the hypocrisy and the lies of this administration permeate anything that we know as normal or as ethical or as he's just effing crazy. All right. So also, and this story really hurt me. We all get hurt. Joe Biden, no matter what you think about his presidency, and I personally think in history he is going to go down as a very, very good president. The way he brought us out of the COVID pandemic, the way he brought the Infrastructure Act, the way he had the Chips and Science Act, I think he was an amazing president. But the thing about Joe Biden, I think, was really the most amazing. And, there was a partisan battle to get the infrastructure, the $3 trillion Infrastructure Act passed during his administration. And it went straight down party lines. He barely eked out a victory. It was $3 trillion, much needed money to rebuild the roads, internet, things in America. And when it had passed and they had the money, they were allocating it. Approximately 60% of it went to red states. And one of his supporters asked him, well, they fought against it so vociferously. They opposed you on every corner. Why are you giving them a majority of the money? And he plainly said, because they really need it. And to me, that really spoke to the heart of who and what he is. Yeah, okay, he didn't get his second term. Unfortunately, cognitive decline came in, and, I wish him the best. But Donald Trump is a vindictive, petty, soulless, nefarious creep. Straight up. And I'm actually being nice, because literally, if I didn't have people out there reporting me to YouTube and other platforms for every obscenity I said, I would literally sound like I have Tourette's. But here's what Donald Trump posted the other morning. Wait for it. Biden is a criminal and should be in jail. A major lowlife and failure. An ugly person, both inside and out. I beat him badly, and I love watching him squirm now. Now, the only thing I can think about the squirming is Joe Biden, sadly, is battling stage 4 cancer. And I really think is no matter how low this cretin Donald Trump can get, he takes it to a new level. And it is despicable. It is disgusting to talk about somebody having a medical, life-threatening emergency, and you're talking about him squirm. Let's talk about the other things, because honestly, everything there you could put it in the Wikipedia profile for Donald Trump. He's a criminal and should be in jail. Oh yeah, the guy who was convicted of 34 felony financial crimes. Oh, the guy who had over 10,000 national security documents in Mar-a-Lago. Of course, that crime never was adjudicated because he stalled it out long enough to win the presidency. So now we don't have to deal with that, right? He said he beat him badly. When did he beat him badly? 2020. Let's quit the fantasy of 2020 being rigged. You've had Congress in session for 2 years controlled by the Republicans. You've had the Senate. You now have the presidency for almost a year. Where is the election interference? Where is the rigging? There is none, because they have to go to court and they actually have to show actual evidence there. And that's what the problem is with this administration and basically the Republican MAGA culture, is they have no evidence. They just throw stuff against the wall and hope it sticks. And because they're 40% of the population will shovel up everything like it's with a spoon and go, yeah, okay, whatever our dark master says, we're going to do it. It's like really the stormtroopers. Darth Vader is Donald Trump and the MAGA is the stormtroopers, and they will do whatever the F he says. We all know Joe Biden. I love that guy each and every day. I miss him more and more. Kamala Harris ran a great campaign. But remember this, when Joe Biden lost that election, or Kamala, whatever incantation we want to call it, he accepted gracefully, he accepted it peacefully, and like a true honorable gentleman. And they both did. They both were at his inauguration. Do you remember where Donald Trump was on January 20th of 2021? Oh yeah, he was on the jet heading back to Mar-a-Lago because he is a PUSSY. He couldn't sit there. He couldn't deal with the shame that he got smoked. He got smoked. And I'm telling you right, I hope he runs for a third term, because believe me, you think the smoke show? You think it's Cheech and Chong? Let me tell you something. This guy, everybody's going to be running around away from him like he is radioactive. All right, let's get to the next story, and let's talk about Friday. FBI Director Kash Patel, literally one of the biggest jokes ever to harbor an administrative post, announced that there had been an arrest of a 20-year-old and 4 other associates, for they were planning to carry out what he called a terrorist plot over the Halloween weekend. He offered very few details, said they would be forthcoming. Like everything else in this administration, do not hold your breath waiting for the actual facts to come out. We keep waiting for Pig Hegseth, to actually tell us that those drug boats actually had drugs on them, but I digress. Now, at the press conference, he said that this was going to be a huge thing. They had stopped it, blah, 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 which I am not denigrating or diminishing the threats that are in this country to the civilian population. They are real, they are active, and the FBI, the men and women in FBI, do an amazing job keeping us safe. But one of the suspects, their lawyer, and that gentleman's name is Amir McLeod, said that the group was not actually a terrorist cell, and that the group was in chat rooms discussing Pumpkin Day, and that there was an FBI agent in there who was trying to manipulate them into saying certain things that subsequently led to their arrest. And I am not about manipulation, but okay. We live in a world where law enforcement has a lot of tools at their disposal. Criminals, terrorists, anarchists do nefarious things, and they need to be held to justice. But I have a question. Do you think Kash Patel is doing this perfunctory, this show, so that he can kind of save his job, which seems to be kind of a little shaky? If you remember correctly, he misreported the Charlie Kirk incident. He was at Rayo, I believe, in New York, saying that the suspects had been caught and that actually it didn't happen for another 24 hours. And he also was the FBI director when they kind of missed on the Detroit, Michigan, let's call it the Michigan church shooting, where the killer, the serial killer, the mass shooter, whatever we want to call him. Oh, we also want to call him a Republican, just like Charlie Kirk's assassin, that he posted volumes online about how he was going to carry out some type of diabolical thing like he ended up doing. And maybe Kash is just trying to save his job by doing this. We will see what the true charges are. This is an administration that goes to court each and every day against Letitia James, against James Comey, against John Bolton, and nothing ever happens from it. Literally, that water has more substance than the charges that this FBI, DOJ bring each and every day. And I think it's just emblematic of what they are. All hype and no substance, no character, no backbone. I guess that's about it, right? What more do you need to say about this nefarious brand? All right. If you are in the great states of Virginia, New Jersey, or California, please go out and vote. It is a wonderful ability we have to be able to change the direction of things that are coming. And if you can, hit that like and subscribe button. Feel free to drop a comment, and we'll see you soon on the Scorched Earth Political Podcast.